Hi, everybody. My name's Virginia, and I'm doing my portfolio reflection for the portfolio project that we did. The first thing I want to talk about is the thinking strategies that I used to compose my portfolio project. A couple of the strategies I want to talk about as far as thinking strategies go concerning reading and writing. The first strategy is inferring. I typically refer to this strategy often because it helps me bring together what is written in the text that I've read. So, let's say, for instance, I'm doing research for my paper. By looking at the text and being able to infer and bring it all together and wrap it all together, it helps me to kind of reword what I'm going to say in my paper. So inferring basically just means bringing together what is written in text or via web and knowing how to construct meaning and tie it all together. The second strategy I wanted to talk about was searching and selecting, which basically involves a variety of sources such as the web or your textbook or things of that nature to answer questions, define terms, solve problems, and gather information. So, in order to write a good paper, you first have to understand how to research effectively. So, and in learning how to research effectively, you need to be able to understand how to use a number of different sources so that you are gathering information that will help you write your paper. A lot of times, students use information that's not from like a scholarly resource. So you want to check that the information that you're selecting for your paper is from a well-known scholarly resource, because that's going to have a lot of meaning behind your paper. Another strategy that I typically use is brainstorming and forming essential questions. Believe it or not, I know a lot of people don't like to form essential questions, but essential questions to me kind of help me start thinking about the topic and how I'm going to start outlining my paper and what subtopics I can break off into. Essential questions just kind of kickstart the process for me and get things going. Strategies that I plan to use. These are all strategies I plan to use, even becoming a human service worker with a long term goal of a behavioral and addiction counselor. There are many strategies beyond just this paper, this project that we wrote that I've used. Some strategies include understanding your topic. If you don't understand the topic, for instance, if I don't understand the different theories of ethics, I wouldn't have been able to write this paper. So understanding the topic that you're writing about is most certainly important. The next strategy that I've used a lot, that I use in this paper, that has helped me to write effective papers, is outlining my paper, because it helps me to organize my thoughts and kind of create subtopics and build my paper from there. Developing a thesis is another strategy that I've used. I typically like to develop my thesis in the beginning because it kind of helps me summarize what my paper is about. I know some people say to write it at the end, but I've always developed mine in the beginning. And then you want to formulate ideas. So this goes back to essential questions, being able to formulate essential questions and come up with essential questions. By forming these essential questions, you're creating questions that you can answer to help create topics that will build upon your paper. The two terms that I wanted to talk about as far as the workplace capabilities go, the two that I chose was technological literacy. I chose this one because, first and foremost, technology is imperative for our everyday life. You think about from the time the light bulb was created to the time that cell phones were created, without the use of computers, telephone, cell phones, etc. Our lives that we know them, as right now, would not, they just wouldn't, it wouldn't be. We've come a long ways as far as technology goes, and a lot of people rely on technology to do their job. Technological literacy mainly just it goes back to the ability of an individual. Basically, what it means is the ability of an individual to use technology in order to assess, manage, integrate, evaluate, create, and communicate different types of information. So basically, for instance, we use the virtual library during this portfolio project to assess different topics and different scholarly resources in order to use them in our portfolio project. And then, we integrated those to create and communicate our project. The second one I chose, workplace capability, is communication, which basically just involves the act of exchanging information or news. This is one of the most important life skills that you will ever have, especially in the workplace. Obviously, we communicated our thoughts and our research in our portfolio paper. But the most important of these life skills to me is communication. Verbal communication skills have been ranked one of the most highest, skills that job candidates look at when you go to apply for a job. It's one of the must-have skills and traits that, job candidates look at. So it's very important in the future. And even now while we're in school, your ability to speak, listen, and write effectively and with clarity is very essential in the workplace. So those were the two workplace capability skills that I chose. So that's about it, guys. That concludes my portfolio project summary.